Welcome back everyone to another video. I want to start by saying that this will probably be the biggest video of the low percent tips, and probably the most important one, because most of Cadence boss fights and strategies will be also applied to Bard, Bolt, Area, Monk. I will go in more depth in some of these characters for some specific boss variants, and even for the last variant, which Cadence doesn't have. I will obviously be talking about it in another video, but this will probably be one of the most important videos, where I will be detailing a lot of stuff that I won't be repeating in other videos, because it just takes too long. So yeah, make sure that before you watch other boss strategies for other videos, like for these characters specifically that I mentioned, make sure you come here. However, I will mention that in the future videos for the other characters as well, to come back here. So first of all, like character general tips for zones. For zone 1 specifically, it's a lot like Melody. Be very aware of spirits. The rates. I've mentioned that on Melody video. With Cadence is basically the same. Just always remember, every time you go to another room, put a voice in your mind saying, there might be a spirit, there might be a spirit, there might be a spirit. Like, always think about that. Every time you are in zone 1, spirit, spirit, spirit. Think about it, think about it. Make sure you remember it, because one day you will just be chilling. You think you are completely fine, and randomly a spirit appears and you basically get hit out of nowhere. So yeah, thankfully they only do 0.5 damage, so if you have to take a hit, let him hit you. Don't let the mini-boss basically insta-kill you because of the spirit. Just let the spirit hit you if you have to. But be careful. Zone 2, I don't have much things to say about Cadence. I always like to destroy the mushrooms, because you can lose bits with Cadence. You should be losing a lot of bits with Cadence, and the mushrooms are light, so that reduces the aggro if you destroy the mushrooms in the beginning. These are lights, so just destroy them immediately. Like you could see, like in the corner here in the left corner, it just became so much more dark as soon as I destroyed those mushrooms. Look, you see? It became a little darker. I always like to destroy them because of that. For Cadence, specifically. Cadence doesn't have an enemy reduction, so she will have a lot of swarms, especially in Zone 3. Sometimes you just enter Zone 3 and you have like 5 or 6 enemies at the same time attacking you, and you need to take care of them fast. There are a lot of enemies with Cadence in Zone 3. So be very careful with that. Zone 4 specifically, same strat, go lateral, then vertical, because of the dragons. If you have a dragon spawning in for 1, you already know that you won't have a dragon spawning in for 2, so don't feel like you need to go lateral and then vertically, because you won't have a dragon. However, you can have a mummy, which will also be helpful to do vertically. So I always like to go horizontally either way. But if you have a very difficult layout with lots of tier 2 walls, don't feel like you are obligated to follow that path. Just follow a different path. And also there are a lot of enemies, and if you are not quick enough, the music might end. So don't take too long on Zone 4. Yeah, level specific tips, that's it. If you have to use bomb on Zone 3 and Zone 4, fine. However, I will always recommend trying to save the bomb for some specific bosses that I'm going to mention now. So, character specific tips, that's it. Oh, another thing I want to add, that this could be, I could have talked about this in the 40 tips video that I made, because this is basically a tip for every character, but I'm going to mention it here on Cadence, is use the shop. Like, not buy items of course, but like this shop is huge. Like if you have to run inside because there are so many enemies. Like, not only the shop has like a small corridor that you can literally call one enemy at a time like this, and then you just kill him, and then you call the second one, but it also has these tier walls that will protect you from pretty much every enemy. Like, no one can open this unless it's like a nightmare, a dragon. If it's other mini boss, it won't be able to open this, so you are completely safe inside the shop. So don't be afraid of entering the shop to save it. This is mostly for zone 3, and sometimes even in zone 4, if the shop is like vertically, you might be able to use the shop vertically when you are running away to kill a mini boss, a dragon, if you have to. This can be applied for most characters. I wouldn't recommend doing this on Dove, for example, entering the shop, just throwing enemies there, but don't enter the shop. But most characters, you can literally enter the shop, and that will save your life countless times. So yeah, I wanted to add this tip somewhere in my videos, so might as well add it now. Not much to say about mini bosses and enemies, zones, we already talked about it, so let's go straight into bosses. We are going to start with the easiest ones first. For Coral Rift, I'm going to play only the hardest variant for Cadence. So this is where I will start. Remember, what I'm going to say here will apply to a lot of characters like Bolt, Area, Bard, and Monk. Lots of things will repeat themselves. So what I always like to do is enter from the middle, destroy these 2 pets of water immediately. So I get some space here. Then I'm going to stay in this pet of water, and the enemies are going to spawn here. Like, I could either kill this one or go and kill the other, and if I went to kill the other, I could have destroyed that pet of water like I'm doing right now, and now I have an extra pet of water there that I didn't have to have, you know. But it's not a big deal. Sometimes you are playing and you can't react fast enough to choose the right enemy, but what matters is kill one or attack one, because some will have 2 health. So that's what matters. I always try to position myself here, so they will spawn as less water as possible. But even if you don't kill the right one, it's fine. Sometimes Coral Reef will have an enemy very close to him. Always try to prioritize Coral Reef before the enemy, but in this case the enemy was basically protecting me from Coral Reef. So I could kill the enemy first and then Coral Reef. This will be a bit different for Area, but we will get there when we get there. So yeah, basically for Coral Reef is this. Remember, you can lose bits. You don't need to, like, I can literally just stop here if I want to. I can just stop here and just wait for the enemies and not move. I always like to move just because that's what I do with most of the other characters anyways. So like just look how everything is basically cleaned up. So this is a good example where I want to prioritize Coral Reef first, because it was also first before the enemies. Yeah, like imagine if you are like stuck. Oh my god, Coral Reef is coming. So many, there are like enemies around. Sometimes if you have, just throw your dagger, and if there's like a line of enemies there, they will all get hit by that dagger. Everyone will get hit. Then if you need to get your dagger back, just bait into a different position and then just go and get your dagger back. So like if you are feeling in a very tight space and you don't want to risk it, just throw your dagger. Usually it's completely fine to throw it. Just try to not throw it like to the water there, like it was the final hit. But if the dagger stays on the water, it will be a bit more difficult to get to it. So yeah, Coral Reef, that's it. I don't recommend using bomb on this boss. This is a boss that you will never need to use bomb. So yeah, definitely one of the easiest boss boxes to get for Cadence. Deep Blues. For Deep Blues, I'm not going to explain it too much for Cadence. I will leave it for other characters because there are so many variants that you have to make for Deep Blues, depending if you are playing Bolt, depending if you are playing Monk, depending if you are playing Area, that you are going to learn how to do Deep Blues so well with these characters that when you get to Deep Blues with Cadence, it doesn't matter because it will just feel easy. It doesn't matter if you enter from the middle, it doesn't matter if you enter from the left side, it doesn't matter if you enter from the right side, because you will have tools to basically kill the boss however you want. So when you are playing Cadence, all you have to do is just choose a strategy that works for you. Doesn't matter what it is. The only thing I'm going to say about this boss is kill enemies fast. Like with Melody, with Dorian, you can just back out, take your time if you have to, it's fine. But they have one has 2 damage and the other one has a very powerful weapon. With Cadence you only have a dagger and 1 damage. So you want to take care of enemies fast, so you don't get stuck in a place where the queens, where the pawns will start to become queens, and then you are basically dead. So that's my biggest tip just for now, is kill enemies fast, know the patterns of the bishops, of the towers. Like, I don't know how to play chess in real life. I want to learn eventually, really play a lot, because it seems really like a fun game with a lot of strategy. And this is basically the same thing. If you know the movements of the pieces, you can predict where they are going to be at, and just play knowing that. So yeah, I'm going to do just the boss normally a few times, and then I'm going to show you how I use my bomb if I have to. So basically, I like to enter from the... I already did a mistake. I always like to enter from the left side with Cadence. Here, why I did the mistake? Some openings... I don't think I can check the replay, unfortunately. But some openings... like if it's a very specific pawn that opens first, like the first pawn that opens will also be one of the first pawns to attack when all the other enemies do their movements. The next time an enemy will move, like the second rotation of the enemies, it will be that pawn. And I was just so confident and relaxed that, okay, let me just kill the queen, that it was the time of that pawn moving, because it was the first moving in the fight. And they will move diagonally and attack you. Like, they move vertically, but they will attack you diagonally if you are there in that position. So just don't do what I just did, like, oh, just enter and like just try to kill you need to kill everyone fast, but you need to be aware of these pawns moving, because sometimes you are not even getting, you don't even notice that he's going to attack. You are just so focused around all the other enemies and you think you are fine, but you are not. So be very careful with these pawns. Like, if you have to go back a little bit just to be safe, you can. Just don't do it too much. Sometimes you have to risk it and go against the boss and just take care of each piece and do every move perfectly. But for Cadence, there's like a gap to do some fails if you have to. So let's try this one more time. Here, like, I can just wait for the pieces if I want to sometimes. Like, I could just risk and try to kill them even faster, but I didn't have to, because I could lose some bits and I know I'm completely fine. And yeah, then basically kill the king and that's it. Going to do the left side one more time. Remember the pawn that just opened. Like, he's already moving. Have you seen him? Like, if I stayed there, the horse was going to attack me. That's why I backed out. Here I had time to destroy that piece before the other pawn came. And yeah, here I am it doesn't really matter. Like it's just this boss will just become so easy with the cadence once you know all the other strats for the other characters. So I don't really have a specific strat for cadence, like do this, do that. I just go from the left to the right, I kill every enemy I see, and that's it. I also like to enter right sometimes, but I usually prefer left with cadence, but I can definitely do this if I want. And then go back to the left side, do some improvisation if I have to. Like, the most important thing is I always like to end. It doesn't matter where I start, if I start on the left, if I start on the right, if I start on the middle. I always like to finish the fight on the right side, because this is where the queens will basically align themselves so you can kill them. I've seen a lot of people just trying to finish the fight on the left side, or trying to finish the fight going up. Like, left side, I never really comprehend why. I can't even explain why people do that. I guess it's a strat. Sometimes it works, but I don't think it's very consistent. Upwards, I understand, especially if you are monk or coda. I can understand going up because it just gives you more space, and you can still make the queens align perfectly. But with cadence, it's not necessary. You can just lose bits, stay on the right side. It's a very safe place where the queens will probably align themselves. And I always like to do that. Because not only this boss has like a swing bit in the soundtrack, which is weird, but look at the arena. Just look at the arena. Do you see something different in the arena when you look at it? Like, do you see how the arena is not symmetric, let's say, from the center line where you enter, because there are only 2 tiles on the left side, starting from the torch, and there are 3 tiles, 3 columns on this right side, which means that if you stay on the right side, you have an extra tile, not only before the queens get to you if you are near the wall, but also for the queens to align themselves. And if you are on the left side, you have less tiles to work. So being on the right side is always the right call for this boss. I'm not going to show you the upward strategy. Like, I can show you once, I just don't do it very often. Like, I don't do it at all, like, honestly. I can show you something like that, what people usually do. Like, sometimes they just kill some enemies like this, and then they just bail out to the top, and just they come to a place like this, going like jump left, right, and they basically hope that the queens align themselves, but sometimes they won't, like you just saw. Had to do a small cut because I forgot how to explain how to use the bomb on this boss. So regarding the upwards strategy, remember, this is just a video of my personal tips and recommendations. I always like to do it that way, starting from the left or the right and ending on the right side. You don't have to do it. You can try the upward strat, see how it works for you, try to kill more enemies and go up, see how it works. Personally, I don't like to use it. The information is here, so you know. There is also that strat. Try it for yourself. Now, regarding the bomb, I always like, not always, for the bomb use, I always enter the left side, and this is actually a funny situation because it's a night opening. I'm not going into much depth about if it's a pawn opening or if it's a night opening in every Deep Blues boss, because there are so many variants, like thousands of Deep Blues variants. The boss is so RNG that I don't even know all of them, and I can't explain you. So it doesn't matter what opening it is. Sometimes you just have to adapt in the moment. The more you play Deep Blues, the more openings and variants, you will get a feel for it. You will just know, oh, this variant, I know that if I'm going to move in that direction, I already know that this piece will line up perfectly. You will just feel it, because you'll have hundreds of hours in the game. Like you will just feel it. It's just impossible to explain that. But anyways, regarding bomb, what I usually do is, if the path is opening without a pawn, like this, I always go to the tile up and I place a bomb immediately. Then I go 2 tiles down always. Now, after going 2 tiles down, I usually start going to the right. In this case, I can go to the right because that horse will not hit me, but there might be a situation where it's like a left knight opening and it might somehow mess your bomb and your position. So be aware of that. Like, it can vary, but only if it's a left knight opening, which is a very rare occasion. But don't think like this will work 100% of the time. Most of the time it will, but you kind of just have to adapt where you place your bomb sometimes. Like, this is basically the most important part. After this, the concept of bomb is basically just to get rid of some enemies. Like, that's it. It's just simple as that. Like, the bomb will just help you get rid of some enemies, and then you can take care of the other ones with less pressure. That's the only thing the bomb does. You still have to do the boss fight. It won't insta-kill the boss. There's an insta-kill strat that I will put a link in the description, that you can dagger throw, and then place a bomb and you will immediately kill the boss. But there's a 1 in 8 chance, that the boss will spawn in front of you and you will lose because of that. So if you want to risk it, it's your call. I will put also that video in the description explaining that strategy. I don't do it. Only in very specific occasions that I will explain, for Bolt, for example. But I will never do it with Cadence, so I'm not going to even mention that here. So yeah, if the path is close, which is not, so I'll just do this one more time. So you can see, like, drop bomb, kill as many enemies as you can. Like, I basically only have 2 enemies left, and here I am just waiting for the crits. The bomb just makes this boss fight very more doable, way less stressful. Let's see if we can get now a pawn in the way. Not yet. That pawn needs to be... Oh, it's a left knight open. So look, if I go to here and place a bomb, I block this movement because I went against him, so it's still possible to do this. So if it's a left knight opening, you can just go straight and place a bomb and then go back, and it will still kill most of the enemies anyways. But remember, there are lots of different left knight openings. It's not always the same opening. There are a lot of variants you can have. Okay, let's see if we can get the pawn closing. Okay, there's a pawn closing. When there's a pawn closing, what I usually do is I kill the pawn, then I drop a bomb, then instead of going 2 tiles down, I only go 1, and then I start going to the right. So if the path is open, bomb 2 tiles down. If the path is closed, kill the pawn, place the bomb, 1 tile down, 2 tiles to the side. This is what I usually do. Like this. Yeah. That's it. The bomb will just be much more helpful. It doesn't matter how comfortable you feel with this boss. It can still trick you. It can still trick you. So I always recommend using the bomb for the 3rd variant of Deepness. If it's the 2nd variant, I don't use it. So Right now the bosses I've shown were Coral Reef and Deep Blues, and I use it for Deep Blues 3. I like to save the bomb for him. Now let's go to Dead Metal. Dead Metal 1. It doesn't matter where you enter, you can just lose bits, kill every enemy. Put Dead Metal in the center of the room. Just finish his first phase. Why in the center? So you can have time to get to him. And he didn't spawn a single enemy. A single enemy. Not one. Because I placed him in the center of the room and I had time to take care of him without him spawning enemies. Like, even if he spawns enemies, because sometimes even if you place him in the center of the room, he might end up teleporting to a very far position and you don't have time to get to him. Like this. This was just impossible to get to him. So here you can either, or you go against him like crazy, or you can just transform all these guys into these bodies and now just go to him. Yeah, that's it. Like, you can either take your time or just go against him even if you have enemies around. Like, it's your decision. It's an easy boss. Not much to say about it. For Dead Metal 2, like, the clones can be annoying. You can do all these laps around just to put them all together if you want. Or you can just jump straight into Dead Metal and start attacking him. It's also a very easy boss overall. Like, even if you don't attack him in the center of the room and if you don't have time to get to him before he starts spawning enemies, like, it doesn't matter. Because he can spawn more enemies now. I can just be chilling here all day. He will never kill me. Never. So, just take your time. Like, instead of going against yourself, the clones, by a mistake, because you are just trying to go fast, just take your time with Dead Metal 2. It's fine. You can also dagger throw in the end. Don't forget to pick your dagger before leaving. But yeah, very, very easy boss. For Dead Metal 3. It doesn't really matter where you enter as well, because you can lose bits. Just be careful so you don't get stuck in a corner while going up, running away from these guys. I also don't really care where I place this ice and coal. Like, I don't really care. Just be careful to not lose bits in the coal. And yeah, that's it. I don't recommend trying to take your time here. Like, just let him spawn stuff, because he can spawn a lot of riders, and most can. There are the black riders that can insta-kill you. So I don't recommend waiting too much. Just go against him. Like, kill all the enemies and go against him and finish him. You can even leave the beetles alive because they are very slow, and use the spawn limit strategy if you want. But it's cadence. You don't need it. You can just kill everyone and then kill Dead Metal and you should be fine. There's also the insta-kill strat for Dead Metal 3, which I will also put the link in the description for that. You basically need to bring him to the bottom, hit him twice, go up, put bomb, hit him once, and then go. And you will instantly put him in the last phase immediately. And now you don't need to worry about him spawning riders, or yeah, basically that. You don't need to worry about him spawning riders that can kill you. But you just wasted your bomb in what I think it's a very easy boss fight. But it's always your decision, because you might think, why do I use bomb on Deepless? I don't need it. But you might prefer to use it on Dead Metal 3. So it's always your decision. Like, personally, I never use bomb here. I'm fine with this boss. I prefer to use it on Deepless. But you can use it if you want, if you feel safe. It will definitely end the boss battle fast. And If I use it on Deep Blues and I go to Zone 4 and the final boss without bomb, I can definitely also go to Zone 4 and the final boss without bomb with this boss fight here. It's just a personal decision not to do it because I never feel any risk when not using it. So yeah, it's always your call. The final boss variant, King Konga. For King Konga 1, I'm actually going to put this in no bit mode to show you, because this will also be important for other characters. King Konga 1. Always enter from the middle, and here you can already see what type of lines there are. There are two types of lines, the wide lines or the tight lines. And when it's the wide lines, what I usually do is I go to this tile right here where I am, always. When it's the wide lines, always. They will always align perfectly when it's wide when you go to this tile. Then you just start attacking the lines, and after the lines you can take care of the final boss. In this position the ghosts will never move to you. Somehow it's like they never see you if you are in the exact position killing the lines. But sometimes, as you can see, this bat will appear and you need to bail out and kill the lines differently. And I'm going to have to do that. So I need to basically now put lines in a different position like this and start killing them. The problem is, now I basically have this ghost that I need to take care of, and only then I can go back to the lights. And then the other ghost is also coming. So now I basically need to improvise and do a different stuff. Remember, King Konga, usually you don't want to lose beats, but if you have almost no enemies in the room, and most people don't do this, they are like, oh my god, I can't lose beats, now I'm going to throw my dagger to kill this guy. It's fine. You are Cadence and the room is almost clear. So I will literally lose a bit on purpose and let King Konga come to me and put him back on the throne. It's fine. Now I can just take care of these final lines. I will lose a bit again, kill this dude, and just finish him. And that's it. Very easy. Now let's see if the bat doesn't destroy my strat again. Let's do the same thing. They are perfectly aligned, as always, and now you just start killing them. Right, left, or left, right, it doesn't matter. And you kind of just have to see the bat if he is not going to interrupt your strat or not. Like you can see, the ghosts were never really a problem. They only started coming against me when I finished the lines and I had King Konga going against me. But King Konga will die in 2 hits anyways, so if the lines fall perfectly like that, you don't need to kill the ghosts, neither change the strat. If it's the tight lines, like now, what you always want to do is align yourself with the traps. Do you see that left trap? You always want to put yourself in this line, always. It will always align the minions perfectly. Now it's basically the same thing, right, left, or left, right, doesn't matter. And just take a look at the red bat to see if he doesn't come here, and just finish the fight. And that's basically it. I'm not going to show it with the King Konga bit. I think you got the point. I prefer to show it in no bit mode, just so you can understand what I mean. Then just do it on the beat, and if you have to lose a beat because the lines are because of the red minions, just lose a bit. It's fine. Just don't worry about it. Get some space, put King Konga back into the throne, and then continue the fight. For King Konga 2. King Konga 2, just forget where the armadillo is. Like, it doesn't matter, like that strat, if he is in the middle, enter the middle, if he's on left, enter left. That's a lie. That's a huge lie. You don't need to do that. With Armadillo, with the King Konga 2 I mean, you always enter from the side. Always. It doesn't matter if it's left or right. Like if the armadillo is on the left, it's better to enter on the left because you want to call him. But if he is on the middle, you always enter from the left or right, and then you call him. Okay? After calling him, just kill him. And then we are going to align these minions on the second row, where the confusion traps are. And they will always align perfectly like this. Always. So all you have to do is enter from the side, call the armadillo, kill the armadillo, and put yourself in the second row, and they will always align perfectly like this. Then it's basically just kill these guys, ignore these enemies, like don't think that you have to kill these enemies. I made that mistake a lot of times, thinking too much about the enemies and trying to kill them. Just bail out. You don't need to kill them, just leave them there and just finish the fight. Don't think about them, they are just a distraction. Remember, it doesn't matter where he is, you always enter from the side and then you call him. Then it's always the same thing, they will always align perfectly no matter what, always. They will always align. That's it. Let's see if we can get Armadillo on the side. Okay, he's on the right side. I could enter from the left, but I know he's on the right, so let's just enter from the right, call him, kill him, and same thing. They will always align perfectly if you are on this row. Be careful of the bat, there's a chance the bat might come and change your strat and you need to bail out. If that happens, just bail out, do a lap around and just kill them in a safer position. Like the bat is RNG, you can control it, sometimes it will just appear, sometimes it won't. Here I took a time to see the armadillo, but still they will always align. It's always the same thing. That's it. Now, here we go. King Konga tree. Had to do a break before this one. King Konga tree. So here we go. This is the hardest boss in the game, in my opinion. My personal recommendation is always use bomb. Always save a bomb for this guy. But Zemi, I had to use that in zone 3, like it was crazy, so many enemies spawning. Don't. Save it. Don't use the bomb, save it. Find a way to save the bomb. Like, if I have 10 enemies and a huge swarm in zone 3, and I know there's a chance King Konga 3 might appear, because if I didn't have King Konga 1 or 2, there's a chance I might have King Konga 3. I will just do my best, my absolute best, to not use the bomb at all costs, because I know if I don't save the bomb for this boss fight, there's a chance I might die. Like, even with Cadence, even knowing I can sometimes lose bits, it's just such a dangerous boss fight. If it wasn't for the goblins, it will be fine. Even with the bat being RNG, which is already annoying, even with the Yeti, even with the Hellhound, it could be fine. But the goblins and the confusion traps will just completely put this battle with even more RNG than Deep Blue's variants. It's crazy. So my personal recommendation is go watch Floriiss guides. I'm not going to explain every strat for this boss, but tight lines, kill the first elemental, go to the side, kill the Hellhound, gain some space here, start going upwards, and then just go for the insta-kill strat and pray that this bat won't destroy it. Like, this is my personal recommendation. It's the best way to do this boss fight constantly. If it's the wide lines, like he says, kill the first 2 elementals, then start going up, and insta-kill strat. Always. I don't want this hit. I don't want this hit. Like, I don't want any problems with this guy. Like, leave me alone. I don't want any problems. I don't want. if you don't have bomb, you kind of just have to like do as in the guide says. Here I will draw this bet. I will go to the left. I will draw. It's 0.5. I think it's less risky to just roll it. Then just kill the elemental and the yeti, and then just start doing some laps around. Then what you basically want to do is, do you see where the goblin is? This is a very important thing that no one will tell you. If I start killing this line right now, the goblin is coming against me, and the other dude is also coming against me. So I need to find a placement, like a position to the lines. Here I'm going to roll a bet again. I should have killed him. Let's just kill this bat so he stops following us. Okay. Here, if I'm going to attack the line, the goblin will follow me. But if I put myself in a position, let me just bail out because that goblin is being annoying. But if I'm placing myself in a position where the goblin, do you see the purple goblin? The purple goblin is now going away when I kill the lines. But the white goblin is coming against me when I kill the lines. Look. And he will continue coming against me if I continue destroying the lines this way. So I basically have to find a way like this. Like now if I go right and I start destroying the lines now, the white goblin just went away and now I have the purple goblin following me. So now I'll do the opposite. Now I'll put the white goblin following me and put the purple one. Now it's the opposite because I already inverted it. But I'm basically always inverting the way I attack the minion. So the goblins are always away from me. I don't want to kill them. With Cadence, and especially now that I basically killed every enemy, you could go and kill them, lose a bit to kill them, and then put King Konga back into the throne, like you could do that. And I'm going to lose a bit now because I think it's the safest way to take care of this. Just lose a bit and it's done. Like I could basically do that again just to kill this goblin. Like I'm losing 2 bits, I kill this goblin and I just put King Konga back into his throne. Like I could do that. But what I usually like to do is this. I kill the lines in a position where the goblin goes away. Do you see? He's going away. And then I just lose the bit if I have to and I take care of him. And that's it. Obviously that without bit mode, without the no bit mode, you have to play this constantly and just have to do those movements fast and think fast. But it's still doable. I will try to show it without no bit mode so you can see. But as I told you, save your bomb. Like that's my personal recommendation. Save your bomb for this boss. So for third boss variant, I always like to use my bomb on D+3 and King Konga 3. I'll do some attempts without bomb. So tight lines, we kill one elemental, we go to the side, we kill the Hellhound, and we start going up. Then we can kill this guy, like sometimes I kill him, sometimes I don't. It depends if he gets there fast or not. Then we have the goblins here, like I'm killing and they are going against me, right? Now I'm killing and they are going away. Do you see? And I want them to go away. That's my plan. I'm doing this on purpose so they go away. Look. Now I can just lose a bit because of this guy and just put King Konga back to his throne. Now they are following me again, see? They are following me. But in this case, since I'm being protected by the lines, I don't really care much if they are following me or not. Because now I can just lose my bit and kill them. Like, I made it seem easy, but you just have to think at so many things at the same time, and that red bat could have gone to a very, very worst position and destroy your boss fight immediately if you had bad RNG. Also, the white goblin, depending if he gets confused or not, if he goes away or not, like he might be right there in the middle of the fight as well. In this case he wasn't, but sometimes he will. So yeah, if you don't have bomb, you just have to improvise a little bit, but it's definitely one of the hardest boss fights in the game. Wide openings. I always try to kill the 2 elementals, then I call the lines a little bit, then I just go, kill the Yeti, kill the Hellhound, or kill the Hellhound and then the Yeti, doesn't matter. And in this case, I had basically the lines fall perfectly, while the goblins are right there in the corner. So this is like perfect case scenario. Here, instead of me losing bits, I will just keep with the bit just to kill King Konga, and just so these goblins won't get to me. Like, I didn't even have to kill the goblins, you don't have to. But sometimes you have. So you just gotta see the moment, see if it makes sense to kill them or not. But this is Cadence, you can lose bits. We'll get back to it when we talk about the area. That's a different beast. So yeah, for King Konga 3, that's it. We can now finally start talking about the 2 final bosses. Cadence is a story-related character, so she will have 2 special final bosses at the end. The first one being Dead Ringer. You won't need the boss for the bomb for this the bomb for this boss fight, and you probably already know the speedrun strat, which you basically enter from wherever side he is on, and you just lure him to these bells. Like, if you don't have a rider like this, sometimes you basically have the worst RNG possible, and you can't do that strat. Like, that strat is already gone. So you must know more strats to take care of this boss. Usually, let me try again to see how it goes. This is the speedrun strat that most people know, and one of the first strats that you will basically learn in this game when completing Cadence. I don't do this. I think it's too risky. Like, if you have a perfect lineup of enemies, it will work, but how do you know you will have? Sometimes you think everything is going well, and you just reach to that, you get to that final bell, and it doesn't hit it. It somehow failed the bell. The skeleton just appears on its way, and now he's on his final phase. You have the sarcophagus still on the corners, bringing you enemies, because the skeletons will probably eventually die because they will kill them, or you will kill them. And then you have riders spawning, and then you have him just dashing through all the arena, and you need to kind of improvise, and you will take a hit. Like, you will take a hit and you'll probably die. So I never do this strat, because I find it too risky. My personal strat is, I adapted it a little bit. I enter from his side, and I call him to the bottom, and I just want him to do laps around the field, like this. While he is doing laps around the field, I can basically take care of the sarcophagus. I want to call him while getting rid of all these enemies. Now I basically just, like, the way you do it, it doesn't need to be perfect like I did, like calling him to one side and the other and kill the end. Like, you just need to find a way to lure him around without him basically killing you and attacking you. And then you need to kill the sarcophagus and you need to kill the other enemies. I prefer to kill the sarcophagus first, because if I kill a skeleton, the sarcophagus will spawn another one. So I want to leave those 2 enemies alive in the arena before destroying the sarcophagus. And from here, it's basically GG. I pretty much won the fight. Then what's very important is understanding where the next bell is. The bell with a different color is the one he is going to attack. So I basically placed him in a position where he is now going to attack that bell, and I called him to attack the other one. Now he wants to attack this bell height right here. So I want him to get to me to destroy that bell and then destroy the last one so we can go to the final gong. So what I always like to do is put him in the opposite corner of the bell. So if the bell is upwards, I like to put them down in the arena. And now I can call him here. Then I can call him to this final bell. And I can go to the final gong and just end the fight. This works always. This is the safest way of doing this boss fight. You just lure him around, you call these enemies. You already know he's going to the top right? He's going to the top right bell. So I know where he's going to go. I don't need to be worried about that. If I have to bail out and start killing some enemies because it starts being a bit stressful, just do it. Because you know exactly where he's going to go. You want that bell. You want that bell with the red color. You know that's where he's going to go. You just can't let him hit the bell and call a mini-boss. Now I basically have all the time in the world to keep calling him, destroy the other enemies. Yeah, that's basically it. Also, there's like a range of 6 or 7 tiles, something like that, where he won't follow you. So you need to be a bit close to him so he follows you. Then it's basically do the insta-kill strat. Here he won't go down because the bell is upwards than me. And he wants to hit the top of the bell, so he is not going to follow me. And I need to basically bring him to his bell again. How do I do that? I always like to bring him from the bottom to the top. So like this. I messed up a bit, so I need to call him one more time. And now I can basically just wait here. And he will go against me eventually, and then I just need to place myself here one final time. And then just get to the final gong. It's boring, it will take some time, but it's the most consistent way to do this. Another thing you can do is if you don't want to do this, if you think like it's too risky to run around and you just want to speedrun it, there's a strat. You can speedrun it when he spawns on the left side of the arena. But when he spawns on the right side of the arena, you can use a strat called left side scoots, which is basically something like this. It's kind of crazy. Like it feels kind of crazy. You are just like, what the hell just happened? How do you have full HP, and how are you alive in that chaos? It only works when he is on the right side, and you basically need to do perfect movements for it to work. But it works. Like, as crazy as it looks and as it sounds, I would rather prefer this strat than the first one I showed you, because this strat is very, very consistent. It's not 100% consistent, but it's very consistent. So, like, you can, if he is on the left side, this won't work. You can't do this. You can only do this if he spawns on the right side like this. So you basically enter to the middle. You need to attack this bell from the top. Then you basically need to see if there's an enemy there. Like here, if you take too long killing all the other enemies around, like that skeleton, I should have found a better path to kill the skeleton, and I lost too many bits there. If you start losing too many bits there, it's over. It's over. That's why it's very consistent, but you need to know what you are doing. And I messed up there. I took too long. So I'm basically dead. Like at this point, he is not dashing through the... No, like it's just impossible to survive. There's just too many enemies around. Like, if you are going to do this strat, you can't fail it. You can't fail it. And this is too stressful to do if Cadence is a later character in a run. So you can, instead of entering the middle, you can also enter the left side to gain some bits here. And yeah, basically you need to hit these bells from the top as fast as possible, and then go to the middle to call him. That's basically it. Hit the 2 bells on the left side from the top, go to the center, wait for him. When he dashes, it's GG. It just can't take too long. Like for that ring, that's it. My personal recommendation, it's my strat. The one I showed before, that's my recommendation. For NecroDancer 2, like this boss fight can be a bit stressful. Not NecroDancer 2, sorry. For NecroDancer 1. This boss fight can be stressful because you might have very low health with Cadence. Dorian will have 4 hearts during the run, which is completely fine. He can tank a lot of hits. It's okay. Like usually when you are playing with items, Cadence is not a problem, and Dorian is the problem because of so many mini bosses and enemies. But here it's the opposite. Cadence is usually the problem because you need to survive an entire run until this point, and you might have low health, and you can't take a single hit in this boss fight. Like I don't think the boss fight is that bad if you know the spawn kill strategy, which is the only one I'm going to show you. So what I usually do is I come here, I just dagger throw to the left and click twice. So now I just did a dagger throw with both characters. Cadence has her dagger back. I'm still in low percent because I didn't pick any weapon with Cadence. And this is basically Dorian's dagger. Now I'm going to open the room and see what's the weapon there. Can Dorian use this weapon? Is this weapon good? It's a longsword, so I'm going to enter and grab the longsword with Dorian. So now I don't need to worry about Cadence having to pick a weapon and losing the low percent. Because if Cadence picks that weapon that is on the arena, you basically lose the low percent and you die. So be very careful with that weapon. When it's a longsword or a broadsword, I like to get it with Dorian. But if it's a flail, there's a chance there's a flail there. I don't like to pick the flail. I go back after doing the dagger throw, I pick my dagger back with Dorian, and I just enter the fight and leave the flail there, because personally I don't like the flail. I don't like to use it. I think it's one of the worst weapons in the game. It's not a very good weapon to do this spawn limit strat, because you are trying to kill an enemy and randomly Dorian just attacks him out of nowhere. So I don't like to do it. The longsword is completely fine though. So the next plan is I like to put Cadence on the bottom portion of the fight. And then I just wait for yellow skeletons, and I start putting yellow skeletons in the corner here. I just keep losing bits, I kill every enemy that is not a yellow skeleton, and I just wait for them. You basically need to put 5 yellow skeletons before going to the next phase, like this. You have to do it with Cadence, because if you attack them with Dorian, they will just instantly die, because Dorian has 2 HP because of the Ring of Might. So you always want to attack them with Cadence, with the dagger. Like if you feel like you don't want to risk this, you can just kill this skeleton and try again in the next one. If you feel like you don't want to risk it. But it just feels safe to me, it's fine. Here I just call him, and I just put this last skeleton. Now we have 5. Now that we have 5 skeletons, there's 2 things we can do. We can enter the next phase right now and be very careful with these little dudes right here. I always like to position myself like this, so only one character moves. And now I can basically do the same thing but with Dorian. You just gotta be careful, because if you have Cadence in this position, Cadence will die instantly for these skeletons. Like you can do it with Cadence like I'm doing now, or you can just trade the characters and put Dorian in the bottom. But I'm just showing with Cadence now because it's still possible with Cadence if you want, and that's it. we are basically ready to enter the final phase because we have 8 enemies enabling him to spawn any more enemies. So we are completely fine. All we have to do now is basically do the lures that I've teached you on Melody, NecroDancer 2 boss fights. And even if you don't do lures, that's fine, just go against him and kill him. Just make sure it doesn't destroy the skeletons that are in the corner. So yeah, basically here you have to also be fast because he was going to explode. And if he explodes, I think that's an insta-kill for Cadence. I'm pretty sure it is. I think it's 3 damage. Not 100% sure, but I think it is. So just avoid getting hit. Like, he's going to use the freeze, but sometimes if he's going to explode, you need to be ready for that. Here I just did a lure, and that's it. Let's see if we can get to flail so I can show you. The broadsword, it's fine for me, I like to use it, but if you don't want to use the broadsword, don't. It's completely fine, it's up to you. Let's see if we can get it. Okay, it's a flail. So when I see a flail, what I do is this. I go back, I pick the dagger with Dorian, and I just enter the fight. That's it. Now, what I'm going to show you is a different strat if you have bomb. You need to have bomb to use this strat. Remember, now Dorian has a dagger. Remember that. So we are going to start by doing the same thing, by putting Cadence in the bottom and just do the spawn lift. Be careful if you don't let too many enemy spawn because you are just doing the strat. Don't let it like if you have to kill all these enemies and only start the strat in a bit, do it. Don't take too many risks if you don't want. The first part is the same. We need 5 skeletons there. Just need to wait. Okay. We are fine. Now that we have the 5 skeletons, like last time we just activated those traps there to start the next phase. But what we can do actually is we can put a bomb here and now destroy these guys. And now look what happens. He can now spawn more enemies and it's the weaker version of them. So it kinda makes you feel safer because the black enemies do a lot of damage, and if you have 3 hearts, you can still survive like a hit from these skeletons. So it just feels safer, you know, just having the smaller variant of the enemies, like the weaker variant of the enemies. So you can use this bomb to make your life a bit easier. But if you don't have bomb, it's also completely fine. Don't worry too much about it. Like, don't think I need to save my bomb for this. You don't need to save your bomb for this fight. It's one of those situations where if you have the bomb, use it. If you don't have the bomb, don't use it. It will depend on all the run until this point, if you have it or not. So yeah, now basically just activate these final traps and repeat the same process that I did before. And kill NecroDancer. You can also save your bomb, and instead of using this trap, like you can literally place a bomb here where I am right now and then catch the golden loot immediately. But that's more like a speedrun strat and not like a low percent strat. Like this one is way better. If you want to use the bomb, you want to use the bomb to feel safe, not to pick the golden loot fast. Like you can, but Even if you don't pick the golden loot fast, it's completely fine. It didn't destroy any skeletons, thankfully, and we are good. And now it's basically just finish him off and try to like let him go to positions that are far away from the skeletons. Like you saw how I was going to the bottom to like protect the skeletons. I want to protect these dudes so it doesn't explode them. That's what I do. Yeah, I think this will be a very long video, but it will be one of the most important ones. I touched in some very important things regarding some bosses, especially King Kong, Deep Blues, but I will be talking more about it in other characters. But yeah, that's it. The hardest boss for Cadence, in my opinion, can be King Kong 3, and Deadwinger can be tricky sometimes if you don't know what to do. But other than that, remember, there are a lot of enemies in the zones with Cadence, so kill enemies fast. And yeah, it's definitely not one of the hardest characters, but it can be more difficult than Area or even Monk sometimes, in my opinion. Some people put Cadence second or even first in the run. Like I did Cadence, I think third. I didn't have to, because I just got to a point where I was just feeling comfortable with every character, so I could do Cadence fifth or sixth. It's more like Cadence has so many details and so many bosses and so many things that can kill you, that's why the video is so long, that it's just best to put her soon in the run. Yeah, those are my tips. See you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.